Hello viewers, it's Reggae Boys Commentary here on Caribbean Football Weekly, and I'm Simon Preston. I'm joined here alongside Nathan Carr, the founder of the Home of Caribbean Football, and Santokie Nagu from the UK, a British-based sports journalist. Gentlemen, Santokie, Nathan, how are you guys doing today?
Brilliant, brilliant. Looking forward to the show.
Great. Santokie, how are you?
Yeah, doing great.
Great.
I'm great. I'm very fast this time.
Yeah, wonderful. So, just going to share to the fans as well. They can check out episode 1, 2, and 3. That is in our playlist as well. Episode 1 it introduces ourselves. Episode 2 we gave some news around the region, and episode 3 we looked at some CFU under-17 previews as well as the presidency. So, before we get into the meat of the matter, Santokie, is there any breaking news that you'd like to bring up before we get into the different topics we'll discuss today?
Yeah, Neil Dance, Guyana national midfielder Neil Dance has signed a 2-year contract with Bury FC in League One of English football. So that would be Division 3 of English football. He's coming up to 34 years old, so to sign a 2-year contract is quite a good deal for him, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Neil Dance has been around for quite some time in the Football League, and we do wish him all the best on this new move, and we hope that he can also help Guyana as well. Nathan, anything from you?
Yeah, I was just going to say the CONCACAF Champions League under-13 version started on Saturday. 16 teams altogether and 2 from the Caribbean. So that's Harbour View representing Jamaica and San Juan Jablete representing Trinidad and Tobago. I'm not too sure on the results from that tournament yet, but as soon as they sort of become available, make sure everyone knows about the progress of the Caribbean teams in that tournament.
Thank you very much, Nation. I really appreciate it there. And a breaking news I have for you all. The president of the Jamaica Football Federation, Captain Horace Burrell, he's back in office at the JFF. He was out for about 4.5 weeks prior to Jamaica's match against Chile. He had some health issues. He's been having high blood pressure for quite some time, and he's overweight as well, so he took some time to take care of some of these matters. So he's back in office, and his General Secretary has taken the back seat now as the Captain Horace Burrell is back in charge. There is no announcement as yet on the confirming of Jamaica versus China friendly international, so we're just going to have to wait and see if this will be confirmed or not. So we'll see how things go as time draws closer as we head into August. Nathan and Santokie, we're going to start things off with the CFU presidential election. Nathan, your initial thoughts on the winner from this, Mr. Derek?
Yeah, so Gordon Derrick won it 18-12 on votes, with one member association abstaining. So Derrick has been the president for the last 4 years, and he saw off rival David John Williams to take the presidency again. I'm a little bit surprised. That was my initial reaction. Surprise, really, because I thought that we talked about it on previous episodes that David John Williams was kind of in the ascendancy, or I thought that was the case. And a lot of stuff had been going on surrounding Derrick leading up to the election. And some people were kind of saying it was a conspiracy that CONCACAF and the powers that be were trying to conspire against Derrick and supporting their own man, if you like, in David John Williams. But on reflection, I think 3 things that might have stood against John Williams were the fact that he broke ranks. So he pledged really early support for Infantino back in January for the February's FIFA election. I'm not sure that went down too well within the CFU. Secondly, the way in which he kind of went about organising the Pro League meetings. So he kind of like circumvented the system, or that's what was reported, and didn't go through the Caribbean Football Union when organising those meetings, allegedly. And then finally, the fact that he just become TTFA president in November last year, and maybe some member associations looked at that and thought that's a little bit too early to be taking the top job within Caribbean football. But what's your take on it, Santokie? Your kind of initial reaction to Derrick being appointed again?
Yeah, I sort of echo your sentiments. I mean, it was a bit of a strange one because Gordon Derrick was the incumbent president, but he wasn't seen as the favourite. He almost became the underdog. It became like the David John Williams machine. And I thought David John Williams would win. I thought it was his to lose, essentially. So it was a surprise. But, I mean, from what I've read, a lot of the smaller islands had faith in Gordon Derrick. And, I mean, he did have the advantage of having been in the position for 4 years. So if you're a smaller island and you benefited from his rule for 4 years, you're not going to change allegiance to someone who's relatively inexperienced to international administration. So it was a surprise result, and it did seem that the Caribbean resisted the momentum of David John Williams in the end.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his manifesto as well, Gordon Derrick, he's got some good stuff like a pro league coming in, and he talked about a streaming service as well, didn't he, to stream all the CFU matches globally. But I guess there's always skepticism about whether these manifesto points can actually be executed and followed up on.
Yeah, I guess with any election they promise the world, so I guess it's up to fans and the media to kind of keep pressure on Derrick to fulfill these promises. I mean, we need to be seeing streams of CFU games. Caribbean Pro League, there needs to be steps in that direction. So we can't let him get too complacent in the role. So hopefully he does fulfill the pledges, most if not all of the pledges which he made in the book to this election.
How about you, Simon?
I agree with what Santokie said in relation to what needs to be done. Sometimes when you're in a certain position, like a leadership position, and there's not really any competition behind you or someone to put a throne in you to make sure you're on your toes, you might get in a comfort zone sort of way, and certain tasks you neglect. So I'm hoping that with Derrick, given another opportunity and another term, that he will put some of these actions into place, such as we mentioned, especially last week's show, the social media element, some live streams for matches, because we've even seen it at the cricket level as well. Matches like the Leeward Islands have played in places such as the US Virgin Islands or St. Martin. You're able to see footage, so I don't see why we can't do the in football for these smaller islands as well. It should be something that's imperative, as you touched on, Nathan, last week as well, even in the Pacific Islands as well, the Fiji, the Vanuatu, the Tonga, the Samoa, they have footage as well, and these islands are much smaller than the Caribbean islands, so this is an area I'd really like to touch on in the near future.
I do notice that Antigua do seem to stream a lot of their international matches.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I think they stream some domestic league matches. And Gordon Derrick is the General Secretary of Antigua Football Federation, and they also have Troy Gibson, the CFU Media Director. He's part of Antigua Federation Media's department. So I mean, it can be done if they can take what they've done in Antigua and just spread that around the CFU. I'm sure it can be done pretty manageable.
I think the interest is there as well, because I don't know about you guys, but I constantly get people messaging me saying, oh, is this game being streamed, or not just senior level, but under 20 and under 17, how can I watch that? Is there a website for this? And, you know, the kind of the other streaming websites like First Row Sports and the dodgy ones, if you can say that, they don't show the more obscure Caribbean Cup and games. They only kind of show the Gold Cup games, so that is something that needs to be addressed, I agree. But I think that Derrick has, first of all, before any of that, really got to focus on the CFU Inc. situation, because CONCACAF have suspended their funding towards the CFU. So he's got to, because of that, so he's got to sort that out first of all and prioritise, I guess, retrieving that funding, you could say.
Yeah, very much so. You really hit the nail on the head there, Nathan. Looking ahead, Nathan, do you know if it's how much years this term is it? Is it a 4-year term or a 5-year term that Gordon Derrick will have in charge of the CFU?
So it's a 4-year term from 2016 to 2020.
It's very interesting, and let's see what will happen, especially with the tournaments in between as well. If Gordon Derrick will be able to negotiate with CONCACAF to getting more CONCACAF tournaments in the region, perhaps, whether it's under 17 or under 20 level or women's tournaments. Let's see what will happen there on in. And it'll be great if other Caribbean countries are able to qualify for CONCACAF tournaments as well. Let's see what will happen for the Caribbean Cup later this year and also the one after that. So it's an interesting 4 years ahead, and I do wish Gordon Derrick all the best, even though he may not be the sort of person that not everybody would want. We still wish whoever is in charge all the best, because we do want to see progress. We don't want to take 4 steps back when we could take 1 step forward. Even though it's a small step, it's a step in the right direction. So let's see what happens there. Santokie, what you say about that? Santokie, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying your thoughts about Gordon Derrick as well. Some people may not have him as a preferred choice, but he's the person in charge, and we have to wish him all the best so that there can be some sort of improvement, you could say.
Yeah, definitely. We've got to get our support behind him. I mean, it's a bit of a strange situation because he was ruled ineligible for the CONCACAF election, but now he's gone on to win the CFU election. So it does seem to be a bit of double standards going on, but hopefully his governance can benefit Caribbean football on the whole.
Yeah, pretty much so. Yeah, so that does it when it comes to the CFU presidency election. We're going to touch briefly now on the under-17 qualifier, the CFU round that wrapped up yesterday. As you know, Jamaica's group wrapped up last week, Tuesday, but the other groups wrapped up last night across the Eastern Caribbean as well. Nathan, do you want to wrap up the group winners as well for us, please?
Yeah, so Cuba won Group 1, Haiti Group 2, Bermuda Group 3, Jamaica Group 4, Curacao Group 5, and Suriname Group 6. So there aren't too many surprises there. Haiti, as we know, are the defending under-17 champions. They were kind of expected to take the group title. We'll have Trinidad and Tobago joining up in September, and then Cuba and Jamaica make up that traditional top 4 in the Caribbean. And then Bermuda, I suppose they did quite well to progress. Curacao have shown that continuity helped because, as some listeners will remember, they're under-15s. They won the inaugural CFU under-15 championship in 2015, and those lads that played in that winning team have progressed through to the under-17s, and they've got some players based in Holland. I know that the striker Nathan Bernardino is a particularly hot prospect. So they've done well, and then I believe Guadeloupe finished as the best runner-up because obviously the 6 group winners and the best runner-up join September's batch of games. So they're the overall group standings from the under-17 qualifying.
All right.
Hello?
Oh, whose sound is cut off?
I think Simon's might have, yeah. Did you catch the group thing? Did everyone's sound just go off?
Yeah, no, I caught what you said, and I wasn't
Okay.
sure if my sound had gone off. I thought Cayman Islands did quite well. They got 2 out of 3 wins.
Yeah, definitely. I
mean, because we're used to at senior level seeing them being like the whipping boys of the tournament. So it was quite strange to see them get 2 out of 3 wins, and they almost qualified for the next round, just one loss away.
Absolutely, yeah. I think what's helped them is like they've kind of built up some links with academies in England. I know we've talked about it on past shows. So that's stood them in good stead. I was quite surprised by Puerto Rico because they lost every game.
They lost to Cayman Islands, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just found that interesting because their national team is flourishing in the Caribbean Cup, yet
Exactly.
Their youth program might not be at the same level.
Could that be because their youth is local talent, whereas their senior team they're starting to get players from America? So I guess that would be they've got to try and find a way to bridge that gap, I guess, over time.
Possibly, yeah. I guess that highlights you could say the drawback of using the diaspora, but that was a bit surprising.
That's a debate for another show.
yeah, we'll move on from that. But no, Guyana against Antigua and Barbuda as well. That was a crunch fixture, wasn't it? But Guyana just came short against Antigua.
Yeah, I mean, afterwards, the coach Stevens of Guyana, he kind of lamented the fact that they had only 2 weeks preparation, whereas he said Jamaica had 9 months, Antigua had about a month. So again, it is all about how you prepare for it, not who's the most talented players, because especially at that level, schoolboy level, you need as much preparation as you can. So I mean, a few Guyanese fans have been complaining that it's a typical Guyanese thing to do, leave it last minute, not prepare, even though they've known all year they were entered for the tournament. So yeah, hopefully they learn their lessons for the next next tournament they take part in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it seems to be a talented bunch. Yeah, in terms of like players to watch, it's hard to comment kind of because we haven't seen, unless you're actually there, there hasn't been an abundance of streaming. But there is a guy, a young English football coach called Jack Brazil, who went to see some games in Group 2, and he said that there was a Haitian midfielder called Danley Jean Jacques. I think I've pronounced that correctly.
Okay.
And he called him like a Busquets-style playmaker. So I don't know of Haiti. So maybe he's one to.
Oh wow! Where did he watch those in Haiti? Then was that group in Haiti?
Where is that group? That group was in the Cayman Islands. Because I know that.
Okay.
I think without going too much into Jack's personal life, I think he's just got a job over in the Cayman Islands. It's all right for some, isn't it? So he's. Yeah. I know I was talking to him, and he said there was a few players that caught his eye, but that's just a nice bit of insight. So it's Danny Jean-Jacques.
Interestingly enough, I saw an interview with the Jamaican coach, Andre Edwards, I think his name was, Andre Edwards, and he's kind of raised concerns about the next round being in September because schoolboy season in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And also the players have to miss 2 weeks of school, so obviously they have to get some sort of education in that time. So it does, when it's at under 17 level, there is a different dynamic to it compared to like fully professional seniors. So yeah, that was quite an interesting issue he raised.
I suppose how do you counter that though? You can't very well say we're not going to have all their qualifiers in September just because Jamaica, one participant, has their schoolboy season coinciding with it. I guess they've got to just try and work around it.
I guess because in England the game is so lucrative, we're used to like players just giving up on their education to pursue football. So it wouldn't be an argument over here, but in the Caribbean where it's not a guaranteed full-time career, like you do way over it as well. So it is quite a tricky debate, I guess.
Yeah. Another interesting strand as well, I just wanted to briefly touch on, is that in Group 6, the British Virgin Islands, I believe 4 or 5, I'm not quite sure on the number, players were recruited from the Daniel Sturridge Academy to go and represent the British Virgin Islands.
So they were flown from England.
I think so, yeah. I've been speaking to a guy called Rudy Rodiger, I think that's the right pronunciation, and he's kind of like acted as a linchpin, I think, in helping some kids from that academy go over and represent the British Virgin Islands. So a really good experience for them, I suppose, to get a little bit of taste of international football.
Junior Forest on Facebook. He wanted to know how far in advance do teams have to enter for competition this year?
What was that? Sorry.
How far in advance do countries have to enter themselves into the CFU tournament? Do they get like a year's notice?
I can't hear you. Your sound's just sudden. I don't know if it's me.
Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now. Yeah. Sorry, you said how far can teams go or something like that? Sorry.
How far in advance do teams have to enter themselves into international tournaments? So do they know a year in advance if they're being entered? Because often you do get, say for instance, a Caribbean Cup started and you'll have like 8 or 9 teams not entered. So how far in advance the team? No, I imagine it was about 6 month mark, but I have no idea.
I don't actually know that either. No, it's not something that I've kind of looked into. I'm guessing there would be a deadline registration, where like a cut-off point where every team would have to submit. But I suppose it like ties in with logistical stuff and getting transportation and accommodation sorted as well.
Yeah, it was interesting. The question stemmed from the fact that the Guyana, because there's the upcoming under-15 women's CONCACAF qualifiers coming up. Can you hear me?
Yep, just about.
So the under-15 women's qualifiers for the Caribbean start in August. Whereas the Guyana Football Federation president had claimed they were entered, but apparently they haven't been entered. So this question was relating as to when do have to enter their teams by. So I thought it was an interesting question. But again, it's something I would need to ask someone